Hi, and welcome to this video in which we will be discussing the use of double sharps and flats. A quick note before we begin. This video explores some music theory which may need a general understanding of some underlying principles. I hope to cover more of these, like the types of minor scale, in future videos. If you'd like anything in particular covered, please leave me a comment below and I'll see what I can do. Before we can talk about double sharps or flats then, let's first make sure we understand the more common single sharps and flats encountered in everyday music. Put simply, a sharp raises a note by one semitone, a semitone being the smallest distance between two notes in the Western musical system. For example, F is sharpened to F sharp, and this is shown by the use of the sharp symbol. Likewise, a flat lowers a note by the same amount. For example, B is flattened to B flat, and shown by the use of the flat symbol. It is also worth noting the initially peculiar state of a white note sharp, or flat at this point, and showing how this relates to musical scales. You see, the alphabetical pitches in music do not fall at regular distances. In fact, 5 of the notes have an in-between state and 2 do not. This means that C, D, F, G and A can all be sharpened to a note between that and their neighbour, but E and B cannot. These two notes, if sharpened, end up the same sounding pitch as the next letter up. E sharp sounds like an F and B sharp sounds like a C. Equally, C flat sounds like a B and F flat sounds like an E. On a piano keyboard, these two sharps and flats are the only ones not to be represented by a black key. Which brings us on to scales. The major scale is made up of a series of 7 notes, with the 8th completing one octave by returning back to the first note again. For example, C major is made of all the letter names from C to C, which on the piano corresponds to all of the white notes. All other major scales, though, require alterations to maintain this pattern because the distances between the major scale's notes are not even. In fact, the pattern has 2 types of distances, which in music are called intervals. We've already mentioned the semitone, and now we can see that some of the intervals are twice this size because the notes have a sharp or flat between them. These are called tones. The pattern for a major scale is tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Therefore, when we start this pattern on C, it works out perfectly as the semitones fall between E to F and B to C. In G major, though, the semitone at the beginning works between B and C, but not the final one, which should be from the F to the next note. We have to adjust the scale accordingly then to keep the sound correct by sharpening the F to an F sharp. Now we have the correct intervals as per the original pattern. There is an accruing number of alterations in the form of flats and sharps then, which accumulate throughout the musical scales in order to keep the intervals correct when starting from each of the 12 available notes. The list of alterations needed for each key are known as key signatures and can be represented on a diagram known as the circle of fifths. This is a very useful diagram for many reasons, and I will look at this in more detail in future videos. For now, we can use it to see our theory proven for each key, including the flat keys like F major, where the B is flattened to create the first semitone. We come finally to the question then, what about double sharps and flats? A double sharp, which is indicated by this symbol, is the name given to a note which is played not just a semitone higher, but a whole tone higher. Likewise, a double flat, which looks like this, is played a tone lower. This means that F double sharp sounds like a G, and D double flat sounds like a C. We used these special alterations in a few places, but but the best example can be shown in the case of two particular scales. So far, we have only discussed major scales, and these all work out pretty well, as we have seen, with every sharp or flat fixing the pattern of the intervals so they all sound the same no matter which note starts the pattern. In minor scales, however, we can add even more alterations to make our scales work. In the case of the harmonic minor, we take the key signature and add an extra sharp into the scale on the 7th note up. For example, in E harmonic minor, which shares G major's key signature, we have an F sharp in the key signature, and we sharpen the D as well, although this is not included in the key signature. By altering the scales in this way, we embark upon a slippery slope, which culminates in a few interesting cases. For instance, a minor scale starting on G sharp harmonic minor. It has 5 sharps in the key signature, like B major, and requires us to sharpen its 7th note, which in this case is, well, already an F sharp. Now I think you can see where this is going. When we raise the F sharp, it becomes an F double sharp. You might ask, well, why don't we just call this a G? But each scale must only have one of each letter name, so this scale cannot have a G and a G sharp, but no Fs. So if you're far enough down the rabbit hole, why not go all the way, right? Let's have one final obscure case then, D flat harmonic minor. You can see in this scale we needed a raised 7th at the top again, but interestingly, this time round, the C is returned from its flattened state to a natural one, and it's actually the 6th note of B that gets the double flat. Now this is a theoretical scale, because in practice we would use the equivalent C sharp minor, which only has 4 sharps and is much easier to compute. Well, I hope that satisfied your curiosity about double sharps and flats. Please let me know if you would like more videos about anything mentioned today. As always, if you've found this video useful, please subscribe to the channel and press the like button to show your support. Many thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.